We begin with Elena and Philip together, but Elena feels she is about to change into her wolf form, so she stops and says she must leave for a midnight photo shoot, promising to make it up to him later. After a long elevator ride, she goes to an alley, removes her clothes, and changes into a wolf. At a bar, a young woman approaches a man alone and calls the Danvers family strange.
Tell me what you know about the Danvers family.
He says the Danvers make rules and he plans to break them. When she invites him home, he insults her and warns her to be careful. Elena, now a wolf, runs through Toronto. Later, the young woman walks alone in the woods and is killed by a wolf. In the morning, Elena is human again, brings Philip breakfast and coffee, and they continue where they stopped. At the University of Upstate New York, Clay gives a lecture about the beast inside humans. Elena then has a therapy session with Logan about almost changing with Philip. She has not changed for 37 days. Logan suggests she change once a week and offers to run with her, but she refuses. Elena later meets Philip's sister Diane for coffee to review photos and talk about meeting the family. In the woods, a hunter finds the dead woman. Jeremy arrives at the police scene and people see his family as reclusive. Police believe it was an animal attack. Jeremy calls Clay, says a mutt killed a human and orders everyone back to Stonehaven. We see the pack being called, including Logan, Nick, and Elena, while the killer watches. Back at Stonehaven, Jeremy tells Clay, Nick, and Antonio that a mutt broke the rule by killing for sport and calls everyone home, though they doubt Elena will return, because she is their best tracker, and he sends Logan and Pete to bring her back. At the award ceremony, Philip wins, and during his speech, Elena gets a call from Logan asking why she did not call Jeremy. She agrees to meet Logan to learn more about the wolf that killed the girl. At Logan's training place, Elena is surprised by Logan and Pete together. She says she does not want to leave her life in Toronto and does not see why Jeremy wants everyone to change their lives. When she hears that a girl is dead, she agrees to help. The next day, Diane visits Philip so she and Elena can try dresses for Becky's wedding. They find a dress right away and go out for drinks. At a hotel bar, a man flirts with Elena and grabs her, so she defends herself, shocking Diane. Elena explains she learned self-defense to stay safe. At Stonehaven, the sheriff tells Jeremy a wolf killed the woman and asks for help to stop it. Clay tells the pack they need Elena. Back at Philip's home, Elena and Philip talk about how she changed his life, but a text from Jeremy interrupts them. Philip asks where home is, and Elena says Jeremy is like family.
Danvers is a part of my extended family.
Philip asks why Jeremy was not there during foster care, and Elena says they did not know each other then. Philip tells her to call. Clay answers the phone, and Elena hangs up. The pack is angry at Clay. That night, Elena hears wolves and runs with Logan. A coyote attacks Logan. Elena stops it, and someone films it. Later, Elena agrees to return to Stonehaven. She lies to Philip and goes to Stonehaven, where Clay meets her. Elsewhere, the young man changes into a wolf and kills another woman. Right after Elena returns to Stonehaven, Clay greets her, but she treats him coldly. Clay tries to be kind, but Elena pushes him away. We then jump back to a flashback when Clay brings Elena to Stonehaven to meet his family. Elena is nervous because meeting the family is a big step with the man she plans to spend her life with. Clay tells her not to worry and says Jeremy will like her. They kiss and walk to the house. Back in the present, Clay talks about how Elena has changed.
Some things have.
Including her clothes, but she stays distant and only wants to find Jeremy to track the mutt. Outside, Elena hears gunshots and fears Jeremy is hurt. She wants to rush out, but Clay warns her that hunters are nearby because of a $1,000 bounty on wolves. They then see Jeremy return in wolf form. After he changes back, Jeremy and Elena warmly reunite. He explains the situation, and Elena wants to track immediately. Jeremy wants to wait for everyone, but she insists. He agrees only if Clay goes too, which makes Elena wait. In her room, she finds a ring box and hides it. In Toronto, Philip meets Logan and his girlfriend Rachel and offers sympathy about an accident and the children. Rachel seems confused, but Logan covers quickly.
All right, let's go.
Meanwhile, the mutt Scott chooses a victim at a bar, not knowing she is the bartender's sister. At a diner, Nick and his father Antonio hear talk about the dead girl and wolves near Stonehaven. The sheriff mentions another missing girl, and Antonio offers help before leaving with Nick and Pete. That night, Elena thinks about calling Philip, but does not. Clay also thinks alone. In the morning, Elena dreams about Clay. Jeremy watches from an upstairs window, as Antonio tells him they should hunt the mutt as humans during the day, but Jeremy insists they wait until night. Antonio says that when the mutt is caught, Elena will probably leave again. Jeremy hopes she stays and says they must remind her that Stonehaven is her home.
The best way of bringing her back is just give her a chance to remember that this is her home.
Antonio hopes the good memories will matter more than the bad ones. In the basement, Elena studies werewolf history and looks for possible mutt suspects. Pete joins her, and she asks why he always returns when Jeremy calls. Pete says he owes Jeremy his life and explains that he once killed a girl after changing in front of her, and Jeremy helped him deal with it. Pete also warns Elena that she cannot keep living as only a human. During the day, the mutt kills a young boy. Later, Elena reviews suspects, including Jeremy's father, but Jeremy says his father is dead. Logan arrives, and Jeremy explains the plan, which pairs Elena and Clay together. In town, Elena suggests splitting up. Nick and Clay want to change and kill the mutt, but Elena convinces them not to. Elena tracks the scent as a wolf and reaches an abandoned building. Clay follows her and pets her, which offends her. Inside, Nick joins them wearing odd clothes. Elena realizes the mutt is newly turned and finds part of a victim's scalp. They return to Stonehaven. Elena scares off 2 teens hunting wolves. Back home, she explains her findings. Jeremy plans a stakeout and warns Clay not to kill the mutt. Clay confronts Elena and they argue. Jeremy then says, "Kids saw Elena. She wants to leave and refuses to kill again." A flashback shows she killed a man in Houston who had a severed werewolf arm. This made her leave the pack. As she tries to go, Nick and Clay show her the dead boy's body in the woods. Danvers' pack is standing in the woods around the dead boy's body. Elena believes the same mutt who killed the 2 women also killed the boy. Clay wants to move the body so the pack will not be blamed.
Here to put a target on our backs, we have to move him.
But Jeremy says that is a bad idea. Before they decide, hunters arrive and begin accusing them, while Jeremy tries to keep the peace. Elena and a hunter's dog stare at each other, and when Clay hits a hunter with a gun, the fight ends. Jeremy calls Sheriff Morgan to report another killing. Back at Stonehaven, the pack agrees the mutt is targeting them. Logan thinks the newly turned wolf cannot control himself mentally. Jeremy splits the group, sending Elena and Clay to search bars in Bear Valley, while Nick, Logan, and Pete meet Carl, who knows about mutts. Jeremy then talks privately with Elena and gives her lilacs sent by Philip. They discuss lying to humans and to themselves, and Jeremy hides the flowers so Clay will not connect them to Philip. Elena calls Philip to thank him, and they flirt, but Clay loudly starts his car, showing his jealousy. In the woods, Jeremy speaks with Sheriff Morgan, who questions why the boy was on Danvers' land. Antonio explains how they found the body. In Toronto, Philip meets a client at the docks about selling Estonia vodka in North America. In Bear Valley, Clay asks Elena about the flowers, but an angry townsperson confronts them about the dead boy and a missing dog. Elena calms the situation. She notices a poster for a rave, and the mutt enters the event. That night, Sheriff Morgan brings in wildlife control because she is unsure what animal is responsible. In Toronto, Philip's mother worries that Elena may hurt her son. At the rave, Elena finds the mutt and tells him he broke the rules by killing people.
Killing people isn't allowed.
The mutt, named Scott, says he enjoys killing too much to stop. Elena uses her claws to grab his chest, and Scott starts to change. She tells him to calm down, but he says he does not know how. Because the crowd blocks the exits, Elena pushes him into the warehouse office. Scott fully turns into a wolf, and Elena struggles to keep him trapped. When things go quiet, she realizes he escaped through the ceiling and is now attacking people inside the rave. Everyone panics and runs. The mutt attacks a young man, but Elena stops him. Sadly, he kills a young woman and eats her before Clay and Elena can control him, and then he escapes again. Outside, Jeremy and Antonio see Sheriff Morgan and police rush toward the warehouse. When officers arrive, Elena and Clay hide as the mutt runs out. He is shot, but keeps going, until a car hits and kills him. Clay and Elena go back inside and find the bitten young man starting to change. Clay sees he is a drug addict and kills him, believing he would not survive the change, even though Elena disagrees. Back at Stonehaven, Elena blames herself and says being near Clay causes trouble. Clay storms off. Elena says she is leaving forever and returns to Toronto, where Philip warmly welcomes her. Philip later surprises her by inviting Logan and Rachel to dinner. Elena and Logan agree on a fake story about a cousin's accident. During dinner, Rachel and Philip ask questions, and later the women talk privately while the men talk too. Back at Stonehaven, Antonio and Nick investigate Carl and find something shocking. Clay calls Logan, who quietly tells Elena that Pete has been killed by another werewolf and one of his fingers is missing. Everyone gathers at Stonehaven for a memorial for Pete. Each person shares kind memories of their lost pack member.
In the tradition of pack members before us, and the pack members that will follow.
Meanwhile, a lone werewolf is seen trespassing through the forest. He travels some distance, and as Elena is saying that Pete was killed by a monster, the mutt gives a wolf call, and the Danvers pack runs after him. However, they end up losing his trail. The mutt changes back into a human and walks along the main street of Bear Valley. Later, after talking with Logan, Elena meets Jeremy as he spreads Pete's ashes around Stonehaven. Elena says she has never felt grief like this before because she was too young to understand it when her parents died. She wants revenge on whoever is attacking them, but Jeremy tells her to control her anger. In the woods, Clay finds Elena and offers comfort, and she slowly accepts it. Clay suggests they run as wolves to release their rage and undresses in front of her. They run together, share a playful, almost loving moment, but Elena breaks away and runs off. Later, they sleep naked in the woods. Elena touches Clay. They kiss when he wakes, but she leaves right after. Sheriff Morgan later tells Jeremy the boy was not killed on Danvers land, only left there.
Kill a child and then drag his body all the way out here.
She asks about enemies, and Jeremy says he is only a painter. Jeremy and Antonio realize the family is being targeted, and Jeremy blames himself for Pete's death. He asks Antonio to contact other packs, believing the Mutts may want to challenge him as alpha. Sheriff Morgan speaks with the former sheriff, who says people think the Danvers are mob or cult members and warns her after a worker vanished. Back home, Nick and Logan say Jeremy wants a meeting. Elena talks with Philip about plans, promises to attend events, while Philip worries about her secrets. Jeremy then tells the pack they are being targeted and assigns tasks. Jeremy assigns everyone new jobs. Nick is sent to examine the mutt who died earlier to learn who he was and who turned him. Logan goes back to Toronto because of work. Antonio is asked to handle Pete's unfinished matters and contact other pack families to see if they are also being targeted. Elena and Clay are told to hunt the new mutt, and Jeremy again warns Clay to bring him back alive. Antonio visits Pete's tour manager and hints that Pete is in trouble with the FBI. In Bear Valley, Elena and Clay sit in a diner where Clay overhears college girls talking about the rave killings, with one girl noticing him and wondering about his relationship with Elena. The hunter they argued with before enters and accuses them of causing his friend and dog to disappear. A fight almost starts, but Elena stops it. Outside, Elena says the town is turning against them, then catches the scent of the new mutt and follows it to a rundown motel. There, Clay thanks her for supporting him and they search the mutt's room. They find mistakes like strong body spray and a scrapbook filled with newspaper clippings and trophies from murders. Elena realizes someone is turning dangerous killers into werewolves. As they prepare to report back, they see Zachary and Carl confront the mutt. Elena and Clay hide in the next room, spray body spray, and steal the scrapbook. They hear that Marston is the one who turned the mutt and is controlling him. Back at Stonehaven, Nick finds prison shoes from Hickson Prison and identifies escapees, confirming Scott Brandon as the dead mutt. The pack decides to stop the mutts before they expose werewolves. In Toronto, Logan meets Santos, a mutt with history against the Danvers. Later at the motel, Elena saves Clay from a shotgun trap. Jeremy orders them to leave, and a threat carved on the door promises revenge. In Stonehaven's basement, where Jeremy, Nick, and Clay study the new mutt's scrapbook and plan how to draw out Marston and Cain, Jeremy says he wants to speak to Santos to get information about the mutt and maybe let him rejoin the pack. Nick and Clay think this is dangerous because Santos once tried to kill Jeremy, but Jeremy believes talking is necessary. Elena offers to act as bait for the mutt, but Jeremy refuses. In a flashback, Clay and his two friends are walking down the university hallway talking about Canadian girls. The three men then meet Elena for the first time when she comes to apply for a typist job to help pay her tuition. She says her parents are dead. Nick and Pete leave her alone with Clay, and she realizes he is Dr. Danvers. What's more is that they are instantly attracted and relieved it is not a student-teacher situation. Nick and Pete later tease Clay, but he insists nothing will happen.
Nothing is going to happen.
Back in the present, outside Stonehaven, Sheriff Murphy and her deputy find Hunter Braxton's abandoned car and suspect something bad happened. Clay and Elena secretly discuss searching for Marston, but police arrive and question Clay about Braxton. Jeremy offers everyone's help in the search to stop police from getting a warrant. Continuing the flashback, Elena practices a speech to get the job. Clay hears her with his super hearing.
I read your book. Every single page.
They touch the door at the same time and she gives her pitch, saying she read his book. Clay doubts she knows the terms, but he changes his mind and hires her. In the present, during the hunt, a hunter stays close to Elena and Nick to watch them. Elsewhere, a prisoner named Olson, a pedophile, is released, upsetting the warden. Back at Stonehaven, Clay questions Jeremy's trust in Santos and remembers how Jeremy helped him after he was bitten. During the search, Elena gets a call from Diane asking her to return to Toronto for a wedding. Philip joins the call, and Elena agrees. Nick overhears their loving talk and later questions her about Philip and Clay. Elena then finds Braxton's body. To hide it, she pretends to be hurt while Nick starts a fight, letting her move the body as a wolf. Back to the flashback, Elena helps Clay pack his office. They admit they love each other and sleep together there. Clay then takes Elena to meet his family. She is upset he never warned Jeremy and waits outside. There she sees Jeremy change from wolf to man. When they meet, Jeremy is cold and angry with Clay for bringing an outsider and saying Clay cannot love. During tea, Clay arrives as a wolf. Elena thinks it is the dog, but Jeremy knows. Clay bites Elena so he will not lose her, and she collapses. Elena then wakes in a cell in Stonehaven. Clay hopes she will live, but Jeremy says no one has survived the change. Jeremy explains they are wolves and that Elena was bitten. She survives, and Clay apologizes. Elena feels betrayed and wants comfort, so she knocks Clay out and escapes. Clay finds her later, takes her home, and says Jeremy will teach her. Santos arrives at Stonehaven and warns that Marston wants revenge on Clay. After he leaves, Elena admits she hated changing to protect the pack and decides to go home. Later, Cain meets with Olsen at a park and offers him revenge on Elena. Meanwhile, Elena says goodbye to Jeremy before a wedding, calls him a father figure, and asks him never to call her again as Jeremy, Clay, and Nick watch. Elena is back in Toronto, and she and Philip spend time together and spend time in bed together often. They mention she has not bought Becky's wedding gift, and Philip feels she has moved in. While shopping, Elena thinks she sees Santos. Later at Philip's, he notices she is quiet. Elena lies and says she thought she saw Olsen, a man who abused her, but says he must be in prison. She hopes Philip will not judge her, and they hug. In therapy with Logan, Elena admits she actually saw Santos, who wants to provoke Jeremy. She says Philip wants them to live together, but she fears losing her space. She asks Logan how he lives with Rachel while lying. Rachel knows everything, except he is a wolf. Elena worries how to explain Clay. Back at Philip's, while he reviews the vodka campaign, Elena returns with food for Becky's wedding and tells him she will move in. The next morning, Mrs. McAdams criticizes Becky's flowers. Becky cries, and Elena comforts her, learns she stopped her medication, and gives her a pep talk. At the reception, Mrs. McAdams admits she knows Elena moved in. Elena sees Philip talking to Santos, who claims to be related to the groom. Santos urges Elena to side with him, but she refuses after she learns he contacted Marston.
I just fear that soon that danger's gonna land on your doorstep.
Elena hears Philip ask his mother to give her a chance. Jeremy calls to check on her, and she promises to call. She asks Philip to dance. They leave, and as Elena gets her coat, Mrs. McAdams offers peace. Logan and his girlfriend learn they are expecting a baby and ask how this will affect their work. Back at Stonehaven, Jeremy gets a call from Antonio, who says their pack is the only one in North America being targeted by the mutts. He also explains that Nick has gone to Washington, D.C. to talk to the Stillwell brothers, who are rogue wolves with no pack. Clay does not care much about this because his main worry is Elena. He fears that if she stays away and does not return, he may have to scare her into coming back since she could be seen as a mutt, and he hates that idea. Soon after, a stranger named Sam Boggs arrives and challenges Jeremy for the alpha role. Clay reacts badly, beats him up, and threatens to kill him like his father, whom Jeremy once knew.
Somebody's paying you.
Later, Nick reports that Dennis is dead, Joey is missing, and Zachary Cain and the motel mutt are responsible. Dennis's eyes were taken as a message to the Danvers pack. Jeremy orders Nick to clean the scene and return. Jeremy knows the news could scare others or bring help, but Antonio says his family will not help. Clay wants to restart mutt hunts, which upsets Jeremy. Boggs returns and challenges Jeremy again. They fight, Jeremy wins, and has Clay lock Boggs in jail. Boggs denies being sent, but receipts show planning. After torture with plastic wrap, Boggs admits Marston sent him. Jeremy orders Clay to pull out his teeth as a warning. Clay then calls Elena, admits his mistakes, and asks her to come home. Elena finds a gift for Jeremy in her coat and leaves. Philip later learns she is gone and wonders if she would ever truly trust him. Back at Stonehaven, Antonio comforts Nick over Dennis's death. The pack hopes Joey will join them. Elena then arrives and reveals Santos is behind everything and gives Jeremy the gift, which contains Dennis's eyes. The pack meets in Stonehaven's basement and talks about whether the eyes belong to Dennis, but Nick says he clearly saw that Dennis's eyes had been taken. Their talk stops when Elena's phone rings from an unknown number. She answers on speaker, and it is Santos who asks Jeremy if he enjoyed the gift. Santos says he wants to meet Jeremy so he and his mutts can escape strict pack rules. Antonio argues the rules exist to protect everyone, but Santos says the pack only supports them because they control them. Santos also blames Clay for the attacks because of the violence he caused against mutts. Jeremy agrees to meet Santos at a neutral place, a pavilion at an abandoned campground the next day at noon. He sends Clay and Elena ahead to find good hiding spots to watch the meeting. While they do this, Zachary Cain secretly watches them. Later, Elena sees a pickup truck arrive, and a young man leaves a large gift-wrapped package like the one with the eyes. Nick and Antonio share a quiet father and son moment, talking about Antonio's role and Nick's future. Elena and Clay call Jeremy about the package, and he tells them not to touch it. Jeremy and Antonio head to the campground while Nick stays behind. On the way, they see a bad car accident. Antonio suspects a trap, but Jeremy stops to help. It is an ambush, and Jeremy is attacked by the injured woman and the motel mutt. Antonio tries to protect him, but Santos badly wounds Antonio. Clay and Elena arrive, save Antonio, and rush him back. Despite efforts, Antonio dies after saying goodbye and giving Nick final words. The pack grieves, then plans revenge, choosing Cain. Cain is later shown with his girlfriend, who knows about werewolves and wants to be one. Santos and the motel mutt hide in Manhattan. When Cain goes out to buy snacks, Elena and Clay track him down and bring him back to Stonehaven, though Clay nearly kills Cain before Elena calms him. While they are gone, Nick is stitching up Jeremy, who is badly injured. Sheriff Morgan arrives and talks to Jeremy while he hides a bloodstain on his sweater. She tells him that Braxton's body was found outside their land with his throat cut, and the case is now a homicide. She wants to question Clay because they have argued before, and she jokes that Jeremy looks too young to have a son Clay's age. After she leaves, Nick continues helping Jeremy as Elena and Clay return with Cain.
Easy.
Clay throws Cain into the Stonehaven jail and demands he explain where the warehouse is and what the mutts are planning. In Toronto, Philip asks his former girlfriend Sylvie to help find who uploaded a video of wolves attacking. She tracks the source, and they meet Nate, who sells the video rights for $5,000. Sylvie offers software to improve the video and invites Philip over, but he declines. They talk about their past and his current relationship. Elsewhere, Rachel worries something is wrong with her pregnancy, but Logan comforts her. She admits she once lost a baby after being abandoned. Logan ignores Elena's call about Antonio, but later learns from Jeremy that Antonio died. He does not promise to return. Back at Stonehaven, Elena worries about Jeremy, who says he only lost more blood than expected. Philip calls, and Elena explains she left because seeing his family together brought back grief. Philip promises to stay with her.
Maybe one day you'll let me help you work through those things.
After the call, Elena finds Jeremy collapsed and realizes it is more than blood loss. Elena and Clay clean Stonehaven's kitchen to remove every sign of Antonio's death, and Elena says she is tired of being surrounded by loss, while both admit they feel they failed him. At Nick's new club, he meets his cousin Jorge, who is also a werewolf, and asks for help in closing Antonio's human affairs. And later, Nick sleeps with his assistant. When Elena checks on Jeremy, he is burning with fever and believes the knife LeBlanc used was poisoned. Elena and Clay try to question Cain in the jail about the poison, but he has shifted into a wolf and will not talk, so Elena decides to find the woman from the ambush scene. In Toronto, Sylvie cleans up the wolf video but warns it could be risky because the camera seems to have been meant to film a couple, shown by neatly folded clothes. Philip notices something in the footage but ignores it. Sylvie flirts with him, but he turns her down, and she asks why he needed her help if things with Elena were so good. Philip later watches the video again and compares it with photos of Elena and realizes the necklace he gave her is among the folded clothes. As Elena arrives at the trailer park where Cain and his girlfriend Amber stay, Philip calls and speaks mysteriously.
Everything's fine.
Have you been running?
But the conversation goes nowhere. Philip then looks for Nate, who filmed the video but finds an empty apartment, and the building super says the listed tenant was an elderly woman who died last month. Back at Stonehaven, Clay drugs Cain while he is a wolf and ties him up so he cannot escape even if he changes. Cain still refuses to talk, mocks Clay about Pete, and says the woman is just a junkie, but he looks worried when Elena calls to say she found her.
What do you want? Just to talk.
Before Clay continues questioning, he shares a quiet father and son moment with Jeremy, who tells a story about tough love from his own father.
Father is the poison in my blood.
Clay changes his approach with Cain and begins talking about Cain's childhood and his father, then shares his own childhood and explains how Jeremy found and helped him. Clay offers Cain a place in the pack and even says he would forgive him for killing Pete, but Cain refuses and says he wants to remain a mutt. Their questioning stops when Sheriff Morgan arrives to ask Clay about Braxton's murder, and Clay goes with her to the police station. Later, Elena follows Amber to the Bear Valley Diner and is shocked to learn that Cain told Amber about werewolves. Elena explains that pack rules say Amber must be killed because she knows the truth. Amber says she wants to be like Elena and has begged Cain to bite her many times, but Cain refuses because he fears she would not survive the change, and he does not want to lose her. Elena then realizes the meeting was a trap set, so Marston and LeBlanc could confront her. During the confrontation, Elena breaks LeBlanc's wrist and forces him to admit he poisoned Jeremy with ricin. Elena rushes back to Stonehaven and tells Jeremy, who says he needs a blood transfusion. Elena gives him her blood, and it works. When Clay returns, Elena angrily confronts him about biting her years ago and compares their relationship to Cain and Amber's, saying Cain showed real love by protecting Amber. In the final interrogation, Cain speaks about a future with Amber and calls her his soulmate, but Clay is unmoved. Before killing Cain, Clay forces him to admit Marston hired Justin Koenig to attack the pack. Later, Clay tells Elena their relationship is different and real. At Stonehaven, Nick reassures a weak Jeremy that Logan will return and says he wants revenge for his father. When Koenig is mentioned, Elena asks who he is, and they explain he was once Pack and is a ruthless killer. To get ready for the coming fight with Koenig, Jeremy trains Nick and teaches him how to face a wolf like Koenig. Jeremy then tells Nick a story about Antonio returning to the pack soon after Nick was born. Antonio had left so he could raise Nick with his mother, but to come back he was expected to kill a mutt. Jeremy explains that the Alpha did not order this killing and that Koenig pushed for it just for enjoyment. At the same time, Clay trains Elena, though she does not listen closely to his advice. When everyone meets again at Stonehaven, Nick, Clay, and Elena worry about Jeremy meeting Koenig alone at an abandoned warehouse. Jeremy says he will be fine and allows them to come, but not to interfere. When Logan does not show up, Jeremy goes ahead without him. Elsewhere, Santos panics and calls Koenig after learning the pack caught Cain, but Koenig says he already arranged a meeting with Jeremy, which upsets Santos, who also stops LeBlanc from joining the fight. The mutts are shown keeping Joey Stillwell locked up to train Olsen, and Santos feeds Olsen a rabbit. Amber mourns Cain briefly, then tries to seduce LeBlanc by talking about revenge on Elena. In Toronto, Philip studies the wolf video and worries about Elena, while Diane suggests he speak to Logan. Logan later lies to Philip about Elena, then lies again to Rachel about a silver baby rattle sent to him. Back in Bear Valley, Jeremy fights Koenig as the others watch. Koenig attacks Jeremy's old wound and escapes after knocking Nick into Clay and Elena. Jeremy orders everyone to search, and outside, Elena is stopped by LeBlanc, disarms him, and runs as he pulls a gun and chases her. Near the warehouse, homeless people live there, and a young woman dressed like Elena appears. Elena tells her to run. LeBlanc arrives, shoots, and hits Elena in the shoulder. Elena hides where the woman came from while LeBlanc fires at boxes and misses. Jeremy, Nick, and Clay hear the shots and rush outside. LeBlanc then sees the homeless woman running away and shoots her in the back, thinking she is Elena. Clay sees this, believes Elena is dead, and screams her name. When LeBlanc gets closer, he realizes it is not Elena and kills the woman. Elena is actually hiding under a car, panicking as she feels herself starting to change into a wolf. She fights it and somehow stops the change, staying human. She escapes and runs into Clay's arms. Inside the warehouse, Koenig attacks Jeremy again. Jeremy lets Koenig beat him to distract him long enough for Nick to jump in and kill Koenig. Later, Santos is furious with LeBlanc and warns him again that Elena is off limits. LeBlanc, locked in a cell, says he only meant to scare her and mocks Koenig's failure. Amber then offers to free him if he bites her so she can become a werewolf. LeBlanc shifts and bites her, and Amber enjoys it, promising revenge for Cain. But her change goes wrong, leaving her half human and half wolf. At Stonehaven, Jeremy treats Elena's wound. Shocked, she stopped to change. That night, Clay comforts Elena, and they end up sleeping together by the fire. The next morning, Elena prepares to return to Toronto. Jeremy wants her to talk to Logan and says she must either stay with the pack or let Clay go with her. Right after Jeremy tells Elena that Clay must go with her to Toronto, Elena packs her bags in her room when Clay arrives and says the trip is Jeremy's decision, not his. He explains they are going to bring Logan back and also to keep Elena safe. Elena says she does not want Clay there because it could disturb her life in Toronto.
We go to Toronto. I won't do anything.
And her art show is very important for her career. They talk about the night before when they slept together. Elena says she felt weak and just wanted to feel safe, and Clay gave her that comfort. Clay says she will always be safe with him, but Elena says it was still a mistake. Clay disagrees, but says he will respect her life in Toronto, and proves it by moving his wedding ring from his left hand to his right. Meanwhile, Nick gets a call from Joey Stillwell, who escaped from the mutts. Joey tells them he saw his father's eyes taken out and that he was used to train a new mutt. The next morning, he describes sounds and smells like vanilla to help Nick guess where he was held. Joey also mentions hearing the mutts talk about turning Clay, which worries Jeremy. Later, Jeremy privately questions Joey and shares painful memories about his own father. In Toronto, Logan tells Clay and Elena that Rachel is pregnant with a boy and shows them a rattle that all think came from Santos. Logan also admits Philip has a video from Cherry Beach, but does not believe Elena is having an affair. Olsen secretly watches Elena meet Logan, and later Santos warns him to be patient. Elena returns to the apartment she shares with Philip, but they stay at a hotel. Philip comes home and warmly invites Clay, introduced as her cousin, to stay with them. That night feels awkward, especially when Philip wants intimacy and Elena feels uncomfortable. Later, Clay notices Philip's wolf-themed vodka campaign and plays the video of the wolf attack on Philip's tablet. While looking through Philip's things, Clay notices the name James Marshall on some papers linked to the vodka campaign. The next morning, Clay cooks breakfast, but no one eats because Clay and Elena meet Diane at the gallery to plan Elena's show, including how the art will be displayed and priced. Diane quickly becomes interested in Clay and clearly wants Elena to set them up. Later, Clay helps Logan and Rachel unload supplies for the event, and Rachel pushes Logan to return to Stonehaven. Clay promises Logan they will watch over Rachel. Outside the gallery, Olsen tells Santos about his past and says he wants revenge on Elena for testifying against him. At the art show, things start well, with Diane flirting with Clay and Philip and Elena acting close, which makes Clay jealous. Clay notices James Marshall is the main sponsor, but Diane does not know him. When they run out of drinks, Diane and Clay go to Rachel's van for more supplies. Inside, while Philip steps away, Olsen confronts Elena and mocks her about the past. Before things turn violent, Philip returns, recognizes Olsen as her abuser, and attacks him, causing Olsen to flee. Outside, Clay senses Santos, attacks him, and warns him to stay away, but lets him go when Diane appears. And Santos escapes with Olsen. Back at the gallery, the party ends early. Elena and Clay agree to tell Jeremy later. In Stonehaven, Logan shares news of Rachel's pregnancy, and Nick helps prove Joey was truthful by finding the abandoned distillery. Back in Toronto, Elena admits partial truths to Philip, who feels betrayed and leaves her. At the distillery, the pack finds photos of Elena, making Nick realize that Elena is also being targeted. At 6:37 in the morning, Elena is crying on the same bed she shared with Philip, staring at it and hoping he will call her. Outside, Clay talks with Jeremy about what to do next, now that the mutts are clearly targeting Elena. When Elena finally comes out, she wants to go find Philip, but Clay says they must stay where they are until Jeremy and Nick arrive in Toronto. Clay and Elena argue because Elena wants to protect Philip and the normal life she has built in the city. Together, they realize the mutts want Elena to turn against the pack, because if Philip ever learned the truth about her, pack law would force her to kill him, which would break her completely. We then see the mutts together in a car, with LeBlanc, Santos, Olsen, and Marston arguing, but Santos tells them to stick to the plan before they split up. Later, Santos meets James Williams, who asks if everything is going smoothly, and reminds him that the pack is always one step ahead. Philip later returns home after speaking with his sister at the gallery, and he and Elena talk honestly, though Elena still cannot fully explain her life or Clay. Philip asks for time to think, then later tells Elena he loves her and proposes. Elena says she loves him too, but does not answer. She quietly leaves and goes to see Logan. Logan is trying to get Rachel out of town after overhearing Marston talking to her at the gallery. He wants to flee, but Rachel worries about their jobs. Elena helps convince Rachel they are in danger by comparing it to mob violence and saying a family member was murdered. Rachel agrees to pack, but Logan senses danger and hides her in the shower.
My life is in danger, your life, we have to...
Masking sense and preparing to defend them. Meanwhile, Jeremy and Nick are delayed because Sheriff Morgan informs them the FBI is investigating Braxton's murder and praises Jeremy for cooperating. As the FBI search the land around Stonehaven, Nick becomes upset that they now have to protect Elena's and Logan's human partners, and he blames Jeremy for letting pack members get close to humans. Jeremy reminds Nick that it was Nick's own father who asked him to relax some pack rules, and that change was good. Jeremy then asks what Antonio whispered before he died, and Nick says it was his mother's name. After the FBI leave, Sheriff Morgan thanks Jeremy again for cooperating, and they share a slightly friendly, almost flirty moment. Once she leaves, Jeremy and Nick head to Toronto. In Toronto, Clay and Philip talk about Elena, and Clay promises he only wants her happiness. Philip wants to search for Elena, but Clay says it is safer to stay inside and that he will protect him. When Elena returns, she senses danger after seeing a cigar and realizes Santos is nearby. While Clay and Philip talk, Santos and Olsen force their way into the condo, leading to a violent fight that destroys the apartment. Philip joins in but is stabbed by Olsen and badly hurt, and Clay steps in to save him. Elena hears the fight, escapes to the stairwell, and changes into a wolf. At the same time, at Logan's home, Logan fights Marston and LeBlanc, barely surviving and then taking Rachel to Stonehaven instead of a hospital. Back at the condo, Olsen follows the bleeding Philip, but Elena in wolf form attacks Olsen and bites off 2 of his fingers. Santos injects Clay, and despite fighting back, Clay is taken. Philip sees Elena change back into human form and quickly goes to check up on Philip. After seeing that he is bleeding, she tells him to keep pressure on the wound and goes outside to see the situation. Outside the ROM, Clay, Santos, and Olsen are gone, leaving blood, damage, and a syringe behind. Elena runs from Philip's apartment and wants to go after Clay, but Nick and Jeremy stop her. Jeremy orders Elena and Nick to return to Stonehaven so they can think clearly and understand what is happening. One name that keeps coming up is James Williams, and Jeremy wants to learn how he is linked to the Mutts and why he is interested in Elena. At an abandoned barn, Santos is shown torturing Clay by using a car battery to shock him and keeping him drugged. Santos mocks Clay, saying he is getting revenge for his brother's death, and cruelly claims he will end up with Elena and create a new kind of werewolf family. Marston starts to realize that Santos is not focused on taking down Jeremy or the pack, but is obsessed with Elena, which upsets him. Clay senses Marston's doubt and tries to convince him to turn against Santos, but Marston refuses. Back in Toronto, Philip is recovering, and the attack is explained as a home invasion. Diane asks Elena to return, and Elena promises she will when she can. Philip does not fully tell the police the truth, and warns Diane that Elena's family is involved in something dangerous. Later, Philip watches the wolf video again and realizes the wolf looks like the one from his apartment. At Stonehaven, Santos calls Elena and asks to meet her at the diner, but Jeremy and Nick think it is a trap. Rachel arrives with an injured Logan, and Jeremy helps him recover. Rachel is scared, but Nick reassures her. Logan later tells Rachel they will leave once he heals, though he fears pack rules about their baby. To stop Elena from meeting Santos, Jeremy and Nick lock her in the Stonehaven jail, and Rachel is kept unaware of the truth. Logan goes down to the basement and finds Elena locked in the Stonehaven cell, so he lets her out. Elena tells him that Stonehaven is no longer safe and urges him to take Rachel and run, while she goes to face the Mutts herself. At the Bear Valley Diner, Santos does not show up, which worries Jeremy and Nick, but the truth is that Elena warned Santos and arranged to meet him somewhere else. Santos offers Elena a deal. If she joins him, he will let Clay, Jeremy, Nick, and Logan live. He also wants the pack to become Mutts and live without a permanent home. If Elena refuses, everyone will die. Elena asks about Philip, and Santos tells her that Olsen is heading back to Toronto to kill him. When Jeremy and Nick return to Stonehaven, they discover that Elena, Logan, and Rachel are gone. In Toronto, Elena surprises Olsen in Philip's apartment and ties him up in the bathtub. She demands to know where Clay is, but Olsen talks about their past instead. Elena cuts his wrists and promises to stop the bleeding if he tells her the truth. Philip comes home, terrified of Elena, and she apologizes for lying, but convinces him to leave to save his life. Olsen finally reveals that Clay is being held at Fox Valley Farms, but Elena lets him bleed to death. At the farm, Elena knocks out Santos and Marston, distracts LeBlanc, and frees Clay. Back at Stonehaven, Jeremy explains that Clay bit Elena years ago to save her life, not ruin it. Realizing the truth, Elena climbs into bed with Clay and holds him as he sleeps, while the Mutts prepare their next move. Elena is helping Clay bathe as he slowly recovers. Clay feels guilty and says he failed Elena because he could not protect Philip, but Elena comforts him and says he did not fail her and that Philip was protected. She also tells Clay that Jeremy explained the truth about why Clay bit her years ago, which was to save her life and protect her bond with Jeremy. Elena says Clay gave up their love so she could still trust Jeremy, and she puts Clay's ring back on his finger. Meanwhile, Jeremy and Nick gather firewood because they plan to burn Stonehaven so the Mutts cannot take it or learn its secrets. Nick feels sad because Stonehaven's history will be lost. At the same time, James Williams tells Santos that the time to attack is now since Logan is hiding and Clay is weak, so Santos prepares his army and again warns LeBlanc not to harm Elena. Logan hides Rachel in a rundown motel before their flight to Jamaica and reassures her, but when he leaves for food and takes too long, Rachel goes out alone. Back at Stonehaven, Jeremy learns that Nate is missing and Philip has flown to France, but he refuses to send Elena away. Elena notices Nick's anger and promises to protect the pack and Clay, even from Jeremy. Using the GPS from Elena's phone, the pack prepares defenses as the Mutts approach. Logan suddenly returns, refusing pack rules about his unborn son, and when Rachel is used as bait, she is hidden safely. The pack pairs up to fight. Elena and Clay share a soft kiss. Explosions begin, and the final battle erupts inside Stonehaven. Nick wins his fight and finds a terrified Rachel hiding nearby, telling her to stay where she is and not move. During the battle, one Mutt gets his leg trapped in a wolf trap and Clay quickly kills him by snapping his neck. Later, Clay fights another Mutt whose teeth he had removed earlier. When that Mutt tries to force Clay's arm into a vat of hot oil, Clay stops him, but the Mutt still manages to escape. Elena struggles with a Mutt, but Logan arrives in his wolf form and saves saves her. When another mutt appears, Logan chases him across the Stonehaven grounds and later returns naked and covered in blood, showing he won the fight. Outside the Stonehaven gates, Marston, LeBlanc, and Santos are waiting. Santos orders Marston and LeBlanc to go inside and fight while he stays outside. LeBlanc ignores Santos's orders because he wants to kill Elena and is tired of being told to stay away from her. Marston steps in and stops LeBlanc, who falls onto a glass map table. The table breaks and Elena pushes the shattered glass into LeBlanc, killing him. Elena thanks Marston, who seems ready to change sides, though Clay does not trust him, and Elena says Jeremy will decide. When Logan returns, Rachel is missing, so he and Nick search the grounds. James Williams arrives in a limo, scolds Santos, and takes him through a secret entrance. Inside, Santos realizes Marston has switched sides and is surrounded by Jeremy, Clay, Elena, and Marston. Elena kills Santos by crushing his heart after telling him he had no right to control her future.
You wanted me. My life, my future, my children.
Jeremy then learns James Williams is actually his father, Malcolm Danvers, who caused everything and still wants Elena. Malcolm leaves, revealing Rachel has been captured. Later, Elena and Clay decide to track together again and share a kiss. Elena goes to get her wedding ring, but her happiness ends when she finds Philip's severed head on her bed.